Welcome. I am Reverend Montclair, and this is Monday Church with Reverend Montclair. Today is July 15th, 2024. And I'd like to speak about decision making today. The decisions that we choose to make and act on, the decisions that we choose not to make, and sometimes the decisions that we avoid making and therefore do nothing about, which turns out to be a decision anyway. So there are irrevocable decisions that sometimes we make and take action on, and it changes the course of our lives and sometimes the course of others' lives, and sometimes the course of so many lives. It's when we take action to follow our dreams, follow our hearts, instead of following our ego promptings or following in the footsteps of toxic culture. Decisions made. The word itself means a cutting off from. It is a choosing of one path over another. It is a commitment. It is a trajectory that we set our lives on. Sometimes the decision reflects the embodiment of who we are. It reflects our integrity. Sometimes the decisions reflect the image we want to project to the world, which may not be who we are, not our integrity, but perhaps a wished for presence or persona that we'd like to be, but are not. So, inherent in those decisions is a rejection of the true self. I do agree with using your inner vision to manifest the best that we can in our lives. I do not agree with the rejection or the punishment of oneself. So self-rejection comes in many forms, and those are all rooted in a decision to not be accepting of who we are. When we decide to accept ourselves, when we decide to respect ourselves and demand that others accept who we are, that others treat us with respect, we make different decisions. We take different actions. Because if we respect ourselves and we have learned to trust ourselves by keeping the promises that we make to ourselves, then we have credibility with ourselves and others. If others choose to deny our reality or reality itself, that's on them. It doesn't change who we are. We don't need to fight anybody to force them to see who we are. The strength is standing in your own knowledge of who you are and not having to fight for it, because your presence, the truth of who you are, speaks for itself. Our country is in crisis and has been in many ways from its founding. And some of that crisis has to do with a denial of the reality of who we are and who we are as a culture how we were founded, unfortunately, has a lot to do with not living in the integrity of the words that we chose to represent us in our Declaration of Independence and in our Constitution. At our core, we still believe, endorse, and seek after the comfort and convenience and inexpensiveness of having slaves. And I know inexpensiveness is probably not a word, but it does relate to how our businesses, our corporations, our business as usual actions, our minimum wage being $7 an hour since 2009, our lack of a living wage being offered to the majority of workers in this country. This is the idea of slavery endorsed by a culture that did not raise not only the minimum wage, but did not raise its own consciousness to understand that it is wrong to enrich yourself when you're already rich off of the backs of those that are poorer than you. It's wrong. Our culture is upside down and not inside out because we hide the inside. And hiding what we are truly is our sickness. It is a sickness that is in our culture, in our prefabricated, advertised, um, just even politically endorsed false nature of who we are. So to be a country with integrity, we have to be a people with integrity. And that is, we have to stop having an argument with reality. We have to accept the reality of who we are, of what we do, and of how our actions and lack of actions affect others and our own lives. We have to stop pretending we're victims. We have to stop pretending that we're greater or even great. Last night, a young man attempted to shoot, kill, perhaps, Trump. And now he's gone. That which he was set out to do, his plan, maybe it didn't go the way he wanted it to. Maybe it did. Sometimes those that set off with a gun are young men. It is a inadvertent suicide attempt or a way of getting someone else to kill them. Sometimes it's a way of getting noticed, to be a hero, they think. Sometimes our actions have grave consequences. Sometimes our inactions have grave consequences. As a nation, we have to stop pretending there is this great rift of incompatibility, of unconsolable ideas and ideologies. And it is not dissimilar to how we feel about ourselves when we reject a part of ourselves, because the outer world always reflects what's going on inside. With our two-party system, we're always at war with ourselves. So instead of looking outside to see what's wrong with the world, I don't suggest to look inside to see what's wrong with us, but I do suggest we look inside to see how and where we can make friends, where we can communicate with different parts of ourselves, different aspects, different times of our lives. We may have things in our past that we are not proud of, but we can also perhaps look at who we are today and say, wow, I made it through. I made it beyond. I'm still here. That maybe you chose kindness rather than retaliation. That maybe you chose to be the adult in the room when those elders were not being adults. Maybe you chose freedom over the shackles of your past. Again, yeah, I see it. We are a nation in crisis, but we're only a nation in crisis because we are a human population in crisis. And the reason that we are in crisis has a lot to do with being a capitalist culture. Because when it comes to capitalism, where money is put as more important than people, where the profit of the few is seen as more important than the community, we have a sick culture. We have a very sick and twisted culture. And the more that we can stand on truth and integrity and being humane human beings, the more strength we embody. Because truth is strong, just like love is strong. So it is in our best interests to embrace truths. It is in our best interests to embrace love. We are a nation in crisis, and it's time for us to own up to our own internal struggle, which is often to be other than who we are, because our culture demands it of us. It demands us to perform. It demands us to be okay with getting less than what we need as human beings. It demands us to buy the crap that is being sold, even though it's labeled as this is the best, the greatest, the good stuff. No, we have to learn discernment. And from there, discernment, truth, integrity, clear vision, that's what you make your decisions from. Not from fear, not from cultural pressure, not from some imagined perfect self that you're not. It's part of us being human. We're not perfect, but it's great when we embrace being perfectly human, which has nothing to do with a capitalist culture, where profits over people, where politics over common sense, where ego runs rampant and the heart is cold. May you have a warm heart, strong consciousness. May you follow your integrity and your intuition. And may you walk in beauty, with beauty before you, with beauty behind you, with beauty above, with beauty below, with beauty all around you. May you walk. I am Reverend Montclair, and this is Monday Church with Reverend Montclair. Thanks for tuning in.